Have you ever noticed how walking away from a conflict or toxic situation often earns you more respect than staying and arguing? It's counterintuitive, isn't it? We're often told to stand our ground, to fight for what we believe in. But what if the real power lies in knowing when to step back? This is where Stoic wisdom comes into play. The ancient Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, taught us that true strength isn't about winning every battle, it's about mastering ourselves. In his words, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Today, we're diving into the art of walking away, not as an act of defeat, but as a deliberate choice rooted in self-respect, emotional resilience, and the wisdom to focus on what's truly within our control. By the end of this video, you'll understand why walking away can be one of the most powerful tools in your personal arsenal, earning you respect not just from others but from yourself. So let's explore how Stoic principles like detachment, presence, and the art of letting go can transform the way you navigate life's challenges. Detachment isn't indifference, it's clarity. This is one of the most misunderstood principles of Stoicism. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring or become cold and unfeeling. Instead, it's about freeing yourself from the grip of things you can't control. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what truly matters, our own thoughts, actions, and character. Everything else, what people say about us, how others behave, or the outcomes we desperately want, is outside our control. And trying to hold onto these things only leads to frustration and inner turmoil. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it simply, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This is the essence of detachment. When you stop letting external events dictate your emotions, you gain a sense of clarity and peace. Imagine you're in a heated argument. Your instinct might be to fight back, to prove your point, to win. But what if instead you chose to walk away, not because you're giving up, but because you recognize that the argument is no longer serving you? You're choosing peace over chaos, clarity over confusion. That's the power of detachment. Think about it. When was the last time you chose peace over proving a point? It's not easy. It takes courage to step back, to let go of the need to control how others see you or how things turn out. But when you do, you reclaim your power. You're no longer a prisoner to someone else's opinion or the unpredictability of life. You're free to focus on what you can control, your own actions, your own growth, your own peace of mind. And that's where true strength lies. People respect those who master their emotions. It's a truth that transcends time and culture. Think about it. When someone remains calm in the face of chaos, doesn't it command your attention? Doesn't it make you wonder how they do it? This is where Stoicism offers profound insight. At its core, Stoicism teaches that self-control isn't just a virtue, it's the foundation of wisdom and ultimately respect. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most influential thinkers, often spoke about the importance of managing anger and emotional reactions. He believed that losing control of your emotions was like handing the reins of your life to someone else, someone who doesn't have your best interests at heart. Consider a modern scenario. Imagine you're in a toxic workplace where tensions run high. A colleague lashes out at you in front of others, trying to provoke a reaction. Instead of firing back, you choose to remain composed, calmly excuse yourself, and walk away. In that moment, you're not just avoiding conflict, you're demonstrating strength. You're showing that your self-worth isn't tied to their words or actions. And here's the thing, people notice. They respect your ability to rise above the noise, to act with dignity even when it's difficult. Now take a moment to reflect on your own life. How often do you let emotions dictate your actions? Do you find yourself reacting impulsively, or do you take a breath and respond with intention? It's not easy. Mastering your emotions takes practice, But every time you choose self-control over impulsivity, you're not just earning respect from others, you're building respect for yourself. And that, perhaps, is the most powerful form of respect there is. Why is walking away often harder than staying and fighting? It's a question that might feel counterintuitive at first. After all, isn't perseverance the mark of strength? Stoics, however, saw it differently. Walking away, they believed, isn't a sign of weakness, it's a profound act of self-mastery and clarity. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's greatest thinkers, put it this way: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. In other words, true power lies not in reacting to every provocation, but in choosing which battles are worth your energy. Consider the story of George Washington during the American Revolution. There were moments when his army was outnumbered and outgunned, and engaging in battle would have been disastrous. Instead of charging headfirst into a fight he couldn't win, he chose to retreat strategically, preserving his forces for a more opportune moment. This wasn't cowardice, it was wisdom. By walking away from the immediate conflict, he ensured his ability to fight another day, ultimately leading to victory. This idea isn't just about warfare or grand historical moments. It applies to our everyday lives too. Think about the last time you felt compelled to argue with someone over something trivial. Maybe it was a heated comment online or a disagreement with a colleague. In those moments, staying and fighting might have felt like the only option. But what if walking away was the stronger choice? What if, by stepping back, you preserved your peace, your focus, and your energy for what truly matters? So, let's turn this inward for a moment. What battles in your life are worth walking away from? Are there arguments, distractions, or conflicts that drain you more than they serve you? Stoicism teaches us to pause, reflect, and ask ourselves, is this worth my time, my energy, my peace? Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to walk away, not because you're avoiding the fight, but because you're choosing a higher purpose. Sometimes silence speaks louder than words. In a world where everyone seems to be competing to have the loudest voice, the Stoics remind us that true strength often lies in what we choose not to say. Silence for them wasn't just the absence of words, it was a deliberate tool for maintaining inner peace, clarity, and control. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it simply: we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. This isn't just about being quiet, it's about exercising restraint, especially when emotions run high. Think about it. How many times have you been in a heated argument or a tense situation where the temptation to lash out or defend yourself felt overwhelming? The Stoics would argue that in those moments, silence is your greatest ally. By refusing to engage in unnecessary conflict, you preserve your energy and dignity. It's not about avoiding confrontation, it's about choosing your battles wisely. Silence allows you to step back, observe, and respond from a place of calm rather than react from a place of anger or fear. Consider this. Imagine you're at work and a colleague starts spreading gossip about you. Your first instinct might be to defend yourself, to set the record straight, or even to retaliate. But what if instead you said nothing? What if you let their words hang in the air unanswered? This kind of silence isn't weakness, it's power. It sends a clear message that you're unshaken, that their words don't define you, and that you refuse to be drawn into petty drama. The Stoics called this apatheia, a state of being unaffected by external chaos. Silence becomes your shield, protecting your peace of mind. So when have you used silence to your advantage? Maybe it was during a family disagreement when you chose not to escalate the tension. Or perhaps it was in a meeting where you resisted the urge to interrupt, instead listening deeply and responding thoughtfully. Silence isn't just a passive act, it's an active choice, a way to assert control over your emotions and your environment. In those moments, you're not just walking away, you're rising above. And that, according to the Stoics, is where true respect begins. What if your presence alone could command respect? It's a powerful thought, one that Stoic philosophy has long emphasized. The Stoics believed that true strength lies not in how loudly you speak or how quickly you react, but in your ability to remain present and composed even in the face of chaos. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, once wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." This simple yet profound idea reminds us that respecting ourselves and earning the respect of others often begins with choosing calm over reactivity. Think about it, when someone is unshakable in their demeanor, even under pressure, it naturally draws others in. Their presence becomes a quiet force, a signal that they are in control of themselves, no matter the circumstances. This isn't about suppressing emotions or pretending everything is fine. It's about cultivating an inner stillness that allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Consider a modern scenario. Imagine you're presenting an idea at work and someone in the room criticizes it harshly. The instinct might be to defend yourself, to argue back, or even to shrink away. But what if instead you paused? What if you took a deep breath, acknowledged the critique, and responded with clarity and poise? That kind of presence doesn't just diffuse tension, it shifts the entire dynamic. People notice, they respect it. So how does your presence influence others' perception of you? When you choose to remain composed, you're not just managing your own emotions, you're shaping how others see your character. It's a subtle but profound way to communicate strength, integrity, and self-assurance. And the more you practice this, the more your presence itself becomes a tool for earning respect, not through words, but through the quiet power of how you carry yourself. True respect comes from within, not from others. This might sound like a bold claim, but Stoicism teaches us that the moment we tie our self-worth to the approval of others, we give away our power. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Think about that for a moment. Why do we place so much weight on what others think of us, even when it often leads us away from our own values and peace of mind? Stoicism challenges us to shift our focus inward. It's not about ignoring others or becoming indifferent to the world around us. Instead, it's about recognizing that external validation is fleeting, a temporary high that leaves us chasing the next approval. Imagine you're in a situation where you're pressured to compete in a toxic environment, whether it's at work, in social circles, or even online. The temptation to prove yourself, to win the admiration of others, can be overwhelming. But what happens when you step back and choose not to engage? You reclaim your energy, your focus, and your sense of self. You realize that your worth isn't tied to winning or losing someone else's game. This isn't easy, of course. We're wired to seek connection and acceptance, but Stoicism reminds us that true strength lies in aligning our actions with our own principles, not the fleeting opinions of others. So ask yourself this: how much of your self-worth depends on what others think of you? And what would it feel like to let go of that need for validation, even just a little? It's not about becoming indifferent, it's about becoming free. When we stop seeking approval, we start living authentically. We make decisions based on what truly matters to us, not what we think will earn us a pat on the back. And ironically, this is often when we earn the most genuine respect, not because we're chasing it, but because we're living in a way that commands it. This is the Stoic path to self-respect, and it's one of the most powerful lessons we can learn. Resilience is the hallmark of a Stoic. It's not just about enduring hardship, it's about doing so with grace, clarity, and a sense of purpose. When you choose to walk away from negativity, whether it's toxic relationships, unproductive arguments, or draining environments, you're not running from the challenge. Instead, you're demonstrating emotional resilience by refusing to let external chaos dictate your inner peace. Take Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers who faced exile with remarkable composure. Instead of succumbing to despair, he used the experience as an opportunity to reflect, grow, and deepen his understanding of life. In his writings, Seneca often emphasized that adversity doesn't define us, it reveals us. He believed that hardship is a test of character, and how we respond to it speaks volumes about who we are. Walking away from what doesn't serve us isn't weakness. It's a deliberate choice to preserve our mental and emotional well-being. Consider the story of Musonius Rufus, another Stoic thinker who was banished to a barren island. Rather than letting the isolation break him, he turned it into a space for teaching and reflection. His resilience in the face of exile wasn't just a personal triumph. It became a lesson for others on how to maintain dignity and purpose, no matter the circumstances. So, how do you handle situations that test your resilience? Do you confront them head-on, or do you step back and reassess? Walking away isn't about avoiding problems, it's about choosing your battles wisely. It's recognizing that some fights aren't worth your energy, and that true strength lies in knowing when to disengage. This kind of resilience isn't just about surviving, it's about thriving even when the odds seem stacked against you. By embracing this Stoic approach, you cultivate a mindset that values inner peace over external validation. You learn to navigate life's challenges with a steady hand and a calm heart, knowing that your worth isn't tied to the chaos around you. And in doing so, you earn not just your own respect, but the respect of those who witness your unwavering strength. How much of what you fight for is truly within your control? It's a question that forces us to pause and reflect. The Stoics believed that much of our suffering comes from trying to control what is inherently beyond our grasp. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it simply, some things are within our power while others are not. But what does that really mean for us today? Think about it this way. Imagine you've poured months of effort into a project at work, only to see it fall apart due to factors completely outside your influence, maybe a sudden market shift or a decision made by someone higher up. It's frustrating, even heartbreaking, but here's the Stoic insight. The only thing you truly control in that situation is how you respond. Not the outcome, not the decisions of others, but your own mindset and actions. This isn't about giving up or being passive. It's about redirecting your energy. Instead of clinging to what you can't change, focus on what you can. What's within your power, your attitude, your effort, your willingness to adapt? And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away, not out of defeat, but out of wisdom. So ask yourself, what are you holding onto that you can't control? Is it a relationship that's run its course, a goal that's no longer serving you, or maybe it's the need for external validation? The Stoics remind us that freedom comes from letting go of the illusion of control and embracing what's truly ours, our thoughts, our choices, and our ability to move forward with grace. Walking away can be the most honest choice, a decision that speaks volumes about who you are and what you stand for. Stoicism teaches us that integrity is far more valuable than hollow victories or temporary wins. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most revered Stoic thinkers, once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be one." This powerful reminder calls us to align our actions with our deepest principles, even when it's difficult. Walking away isn't about giving up, it's about choosing to honor your values, even when the easier path would be to stay and compromise. Imagine you're in a situation where staying means sacrificing your integrity. Maybe it's a job that demands you cut corners, a relationship that asks you to silence your truth, or a conflict where winning would mean losing a piece of yourself. Stoicism encourages us to see these moments as tests of character. Refusing to compromise for short-term gain isn't weakness, it's strength. It's a declaration that your self-respect and principles are non-negotiable. Think about it. When you walk away from something that doesn't align with who you are, you're not losing. You're reclaiming your authenticity. Consider this. When have you chosen integrity over convenience? Maybe it was a small moment, like walking away from gossip, or a life-changing decision, like leaving a toxic environment. Those choices, big or small, shape who you become. They remind us that respect, both from others and for ourselves, isn't earned through winning battles, but through the quiet dignity of staying true to what matters most. Walking away, then, becomes an act of courage, a silent but powerful statement that your values are worth more than any temporary reward. What does humility have to do with respect? At first glance, it might seem counterintuitive. After all, humility often involves stepping back, admitting when we're wrong, or even walking away from a fight. But here's the paradox. It's precisely this willingness to let go of ego that can earn us the deepest respect. Stoicism teaches us that humility isn't about diminishing ourselves. It's about recognizing our shared humanity and the limits of our control. When we approach life with humility, we show others that we're grounded, self-aware, and unshaken by the need to prove ourselves. Take Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, who warned against the dangers of pride. He believed that arrogance blinds us to our own flaws and alienates us from others. Pride, he argued, is like a fortress. It might make us feel protected, but it also isolates us. Humility, on the other hand, opens doors. It allows us to connect with others on a deeper level because it signals that we're not above admitting our mistakes or learning from them. Here's a simple yet powerful example. Imagine you're in a heated argument and you realize you're wrong. Instead of doubling down to save face, you admit your error and gracefully step away. That act of humility doesn't make you weak, it shows strength. It demonstrates that your self-worth isn't tied to winning every battle, and more often than not, people will respect you for it. They'll see someone who values truth and growth over ego. So, how does humility shape your interactions with others? It creates space for understanding and mutual respect. When you approach conversations with humility, you're not just listening to respond, you're listening to understand. You're showing others that their perspectives matter even if you don't agree. And in doing so, you're building trust. Humility, in the Stoic sense, isn't about shrinking yourself, it's about expanding your ability to connect, to learn, and to grow. It's about showing that respect isn't something you demand, it's something you earn by how you live. Respect often begins with clear boundaries. Stoicism teaches us that the most valuable thing we possess is our inner peace, and to protect it, we must set firm emotional boundaries. Epictetus once said, "You become what you give your attention to." This simple yet profound idea reminds us that our mental and emotional energy is precious, and we must guard it carefully. If we allow others to drain us, we risk losing our sense of self and our ability to remain calm and centered. Imagine a relationship where someone constantly demands your time, attention, and emotional labor, leaving you feeling exhausted and unappreciated. Stoicism would ask us to step back and ask ourselves, is this person respecting my boundaries? Am I allowing them to take more than I can give? By creating distance, whether physical or emotional, we reclaim our energy and send a clear message that our well-being is not negotiable. This isn't about being cold or indifferent, it's about valuing yourself enough to say, this is where I draw the line. Reflect for a moment, where in your life do you need stronger emotional boundaries? Is it with a friend who always unloads their problems without ever asking about yours? A family member who expects too much of your time, or even a coworker who crosses professional lines? setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's an act of self-respect. And when you walk away from situations or people who don't honor those boundaries, you demonstrate to yourself and others that your peace is non-negotiable. This is where true respect begins, not from others but from within. How does walking away serve your long-term goals? At first, it might seem counterintuitive. Why step back when you could confront a situation head-on? But Stoicism teaches us that true strength lies in perspective, in seeing beyond the immediate moment and understanding the broader arc of our lives. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "Foresight is the greatest good, for it allows us to shape our lives with intention." This isn't about running away or avoiding responsibility. It's about making choices that serve your future self, even if they feel uncomfortable in the present. Consider this: a heated argument with a close friend might feel urgent in the moment, but stepping back and refusing to engage in the heat of emotion could preserve that relationship for years to come. Walking away doesn't mean you've lost, it means you've chosen to prioritize something bigger than the fleeting satisfaction of being right. Stoicism reminds us that every decision is an investment in the person we're becoming. So, what decisions are you making for your future self? Are you choosing battles that truly matter, or are you getting caught up in the noise of the now? Think of it like planting a tree. You don't see the shade it will provide immediately, but you plant it anyway, knowing that one day it will grow tall and strong. Walking away from short-term conflicts or distractions is like planting seeds for a future where you're respected, grounded, and at peace. It's not about instant gratification. It's about building a life where you can look back and say, "I chose wisely." And isn't that the kind of life we all want to create? Non-attachment is the key to earning respect. At first glance, it might seem counterintuitive. How could stepping back or letting go actually make others value you more? But when we look deeper, it becomes clear that true respect is rooted in strength, not in desperation or neediness. Stoicism teaches us that our power lies not in controlling outcomes, but in mastering our own actions and responses. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest Stoic thinkers, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This simple yet profound idea reminds us that external things, success, failure, praise, criticism, are fleeting. They come and go, but what remains constant is our ability to act with integrity, regardless of the results. Consider this: imagine someone who pours their heart and soul into a business venture only to see it fail. If they cling to that failure, letting it define their worth or their future, they risk becoming consumed by regret and bitterness. But if they choose to detach from the outcome, accepting that failure is a natural part of growth, they free themselves to move forward with clarity and purpose. This kind of resilience, this ability to let go, commands respect. It shows others that you are not ruled by external circumstances, but by an inner strength that cannot be shaken. Think about your own life for a moment. What are you too attached to that might be holding you back? Is it a relationship, a job, or perhaps a dream that hasn't unfolded the way you hoped? Stoicism doesn't ask us to abandon our goals or stop caring entirely. Instead, it invites us to focus on what we can control: our effort, our attitude, our values, and release our grip on the rest. When you embody this mindset, people notice. They see someone who is steady, grounded, and unshaken by life's ups and downs, and that, more than anything, is what earns genuine respect. What happens when you pause before reacting? It's a simple question, but the answer can transform the way you navigate life's challenges. In Stoicism, this moment of reflection is known as the Stoic Pause, a deliberate choice to step back, breathe, and assess before you respond. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This isn't just about thinking before acting. It's about aligning your actions with your values rather than being swept away by emotions. Let's take a modern example. Imagine you're in the middle of a heated conversation. Voices are raised, tension is high, and every word feels like a spark ready to ignite an argument. In that moment, the Stoic pause invites you to stop, even for just a few seconds, to ask yourself, is this reaction serving me? Is it bringing me closer to resolution, or is it escalating the conflict? That small gap between stimulus and response is where your power lies. It's the space where you can choose patience over anger, understanding over defensiveness, and clarity over chaos. This practice isn't about suppressing your emotions or pretending they don't exist. It's about giving yourself the opportunity to respond in a way that reflects who you truly are, rather than reacting impulsively. Think about it. How often do we regret things said in the heat of the moment? How many relationships could be preserved or even strengthened if we took just a moment to pause? So, how could a Stoic pause change your next interaction? Consider this. The next time you feel provoked, instead of rushing to defend yourself or fire back, take that pause. Ground yourself in the present. Ask yourself what truly matters in that moment. Is it winning the argument, or is it maintaining respect and understanding? The Stoic pause isn't a sign of weakness, it's a demonstration of strength, self-control, and wisdom. It's a reminder that you are in charge of your reactions, even when the world feels chaotic. In a world that often rewards quick responses and instant gratification, the Stoic pause is a radical act of self-mastery. It's a practice that can transform not just your interactions, but your entire approach to life. So, the next time you find yourself on the edge of an emotional reaction, remember, the power to choose differently is always within your reach. Sometimes walking away is the healthiest choice. It might feel counterintuitive, especially when we're taught to fight for relationships or stick things out no matter what. But Stoicism reminds us that our well-being is not negotiable. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those whom you are capable of improving." The process is mutual, for men learn while they teach. This isn't just about seeking out positive influences. It's about recognizing when someone's presence in your life is doing more harm than good. Let's say you have a friend who constantly undermines your confidence, dismisses your goals, or brings negativity into your life. You've tried to address it, but nothing changes. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our own actions and decisions. You can't force someone to treat you better, but you can choose to walk away from a relationship that no longer serves you. It's not about anger or resentment. It's about self-respect and preserving your inner peace. Think about it this way. If your mind is a garden, toxic relationships are like weeds. They choke out the good, draining your energy and overshadowing the positive aspects of your life. By walking away, you're not giving up. You're reclaiming your space and allowing healthier connections to grow. So take a moment to reflect. Who in your life drains more than they give? It's not an easy question, but it's an important one. Stoicism isn't about cutting people off impulsively. It's about making deliberate, thoughtful choices that align with your values and well-being. And sometimes the strongest, most empowering choice you can make is to simply walk away. What does it mean to respond without reacting? At first glance, it might seem like a simple question, but it's one of the most profound practices in Stoic philosophy. Stoicism teaches us that true strength lies not in suppressing emotions, but in choosing how we engage with them. It's about creating a pause, a moment of clarity between what happens to us and how we decide to act. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." These words remind us that while we can't control what others say or do, we can always control our response. A calm mind doesn't mean indifference. It means choosing not to be ruled by impulsive reactions. It's the difference between lashing out in anger during an argument and stepping back to respond with intention and purpose. Imagine this: someone tries to provoke you with harsh words. Your first instinct might be to defend yourself or retaliate, but in that moment, Stoicism invites you to pause. Instead of reacting, you take a breath, assess the situation, and decide whether engaging is even worth your energy. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. By refusing to be pulled into the chaos, you demonstrate strength, not weakness. This approach isn't about ignoring what's happening or pretending it doesn't affect you. It's about recognizing that your energy is valuable and not every situation deserves it. Think about it. How often do we regret reacting in the heat of the moment? How many conflicts could have been avoided if we'd simply chosen to walk away? So how do you handle situations that trigger an emotional reaction? It starts with self-awareness. Notice when you feel that surge of emotion, anger, frustration, or even fear. Acknowledge it, but don't let it dictate your actions. Ask yourself, will reacting in this moment serve me, or will it only escalate the situation? Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to step back, regain your composure, and let your response, or lack of one, speak for itself. This practice isn't easy and it takes time to master. But every time you choose a thoughtful response over an impulsive reaction, you're exercising a form of emotional discipline that not only strengthens your character but also commands respect from those around you. After all, true power isn't in how loudly you can shout, it's in how calmly you can remain when everything around you is chaos. Consistency builds respect over time. It's not just about doing the right thing once, it's about showing up day after day with the same steady commitment to your principles. Stoicism teaches us that respect isn't earned through grand gestures or fleeting moments of brilliance. Instead, it's cultivated through the quiet, unwavering alignment of our actions with our values. As Epictetus once said, no great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen. In other words, respect is the fruit of consistent effort and dedication. Think about it this way: when someone consistently demonstrates calmness in the face of challenges, or repeatedly acts with integrity even when it's difficult, we naturally begin to trust and admire them. Their reliability becomes a beacon, something we can count on. Take, for example, a leader who remains composed under pressure time and time again. Their team doesn't just respect them for their skills, they respect them for their steadiness, their ability to stay grounded no matter what storms come their way. This kind of consistency speaks louder than words, and it's something Stoicism deeply values. But consistency isn't just about how others see us, it's about how we see ourselves. When we align our actions with our values consistently, we build self-respect. We prove to ourselves that we can be trusted to live by the principles we hold dear. And this, in turn, strengthens our confidence and inner peace. So, where in your life do you need more consistency? Is it in how you handle stress, how you treat others, or perhaps in the way you pursue your goals? Reflect on this, because the areas where you choose to be consistent are the areas where you'll grow, both in the eyes of others and within yourself. What would it feel like to truly let go, to release the weight of things you can't control, and step into a sense of freedom that changes how you move through the world? This is one of the most profound lessons Stoicism offers us. The ancient Stoics believed that real freedom isn't about having power over everything. It's about recognizing what's beyond your control and choosing to let it go. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it this way: you are unfortunate only if you are unable to endure misfortune. In other words, suffering isn't in the events themselves, but in how tightly we cling to them. Detachment, he taught, is liberation. Think about a grudge you've held onto, maybe for weeks, months, or even years. That resentment doesn't hurt the other person, it only burdens you. It's like carrying a heavy backpack everywhere you go, filled with rocks you refuse to set down. But what happens when you finally let it go, when you walk away, not out of weakness but out of strength? Suddenly, the weight is gone and you can breathe again. That's the freedom Stoicism invites us to embrace. So ask yourself, what are you holding onto that's weighing you down? Is it a grudge, a fear, or a need to control something that's simply out of your hands? The Stoics remind us that we can't control the actions of others, the outcomes of every situation, or even the thoughts that pop into our minds, but we can control how we respond, and more importantly, what we choose to release. When you let go of what you can't control, you reclaim your energy, your peace, and your power. It's not about giving up, it's about stepping into a deeper kind of strength, one that comes from knowing when to walk away. Great leaders know when to walk away. This might sound counterintuitive at first. After all, isn't leadership about taking charge and staying in control? But Stoicism teaches us that true leadership isn't about dominance or ego. It's about wisdom, clarity, and the ability to prioritize what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most respected Stoic philosophers and a Roman emperor, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This idea is at the heart of leadership through walking away. It's not about giving up, it's about recognizing when stepping back creates space for growth, both for yourself and for others. Think about it this way. A leader who clings to every decision, every conversation, or every moment of control might feel powerful in the short term, but over time, this approach stifles creativity and trust within a team. Walking away, in this sense, becomes an act of trust in others to step up, trust in the process, and trust in the bigger picture. Take, for example, a manager who steps back from micromanaging and instead empowers their team to take ownership of a project. Not only does this create an environment where others can grow, but it also allows the leader to focus on higher-level strategies and long-term goals. So, how can walking away make you a better leader? It starts with understanding that leadership isn't about being the center of everything. It's about creating a space where others can thrive, where collaboration flourishes, and where the collective goal takes precedence over individual ego. When you walk away from unnecessary conflicts, ego-driven battles, or moments where stepping back allows others to shine, you're not losing control, you're gaining respect. People notice when a leader prioritizes peace and progress over their own need to be right or in charge. This kind of leadership isn't just effective, it's inspiring. It shows that you value the team's success more than your own pride. And in the end, that's what makes a leader truly great, not the ability to hold on, but the wisdom to know when to let go. Let's bring everything together. Throughout this discussion, we've explored how Stoic principles like detachment, resilience, and integrity can transform the way we navigate challenging situations. By walking away not out of fear or defeat, but with a sense of inner strength, we demonstrate a profound respect for ourselves and, in turn, earn the respect of others. It's not about giving up, it's about choosing where to invest our energy, focusing on what truly matters, and refusing to be dragged into unnecessary conflict or drama. Detachment teaches us to let go of outcomes we can't control, allowing us to act with clarity and purpose. Resilience reminds us that our worth isn't tied to external validation. It's rooted in our ability to stay grounded, even when others try to provoke or undermine us. And integrity, it's the quiet power of aligning our actions with our values, even when no one is watching. These principles aren't just philosophical ideas, they're tools for living a life of dignity and self-respect. As Epictetus once said, some things are within our control and some things are not. This simple yet profound truth is the cornerstone of Stoic wisdom. When we focus on what's within our control, our thoughts, actions, and responses, we free ourselves from the chaos of external circumstances. Walking away, when done with intention, becomes an act of strength, not weakness. It's a declaration that our peace and self-respect are non-negotiable. So, how can you apply these principles in your own life? Think about the situations where you feel pulled into arguments or power struggles. What would it look like to step back, to choose your battles wisely, and to prioritize your inner peace over winning every debate? The next time you're tempted to engage in a conflict, pause and ask yourself, is this worth my energy? What can I control here, and what can I let go of? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Have you ever walked away from a situation and found that it led to greater respect for yourself or from others? Share your experiences in the comments below, and if you found this discussion valuable, consider subscribing for more insights on Stoic wisdom and how it can help you live a more fulfilling, resilient life. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to walk away.